Brad still hasn't won over there. It's been a couple years now that he's gone winless. Brad, I think, in my opinion, is just he probably doesn't get enough credit for how good he is behind the wheel. He's just really, really good. It just may have not have shown in the win column the last couple of years. So when you're building an organization or you're trying to help the technical side of things or competition side of things, it's a process. I can understand that firsthand, how tough it is for a 2-car organization or a 3-car organization to go out there and win. So I think that we still haven't seen, and by the numbers, Brad's probably getting right to his prime, which is almost that 40 number. Is he like 38, 39? I'm not really sure. So he's getting into that really sweet spot where statistically he's going to be in his prime. So I think that's
39.
So have we even seen the best Brad yet?
That's kind of what disappoints me in a way, because I know a lot of people who have gotten into NASCAR over the last couple years because of, outside things like the Netflix series and things like that. And they don't necessarily know how good Brad is. Like, Brad was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. At Penske, he was just, he was a guy that you could just mark down for 3 to 4 wins a year. I mean, I think, man, I don't know. I'm trying to rack my brain here, but I feel like there was a streak there of like 3 or 4 years in a row he had 3 wins or more. I mean, that is no easy task, and I don't care what your organization is. If it's good, then you've got good teammates. It's got the same as you, so it makes it even harder.
Brad went from 2016 to 2022, winning at least 3 races.
That's 6 years in a row.
And if we go from 2011 to 2020, he won 3 races a year, excluding 2 years. 2013 and 2015.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's interesting for sure. And so, if you're looking for a bold pick to, make it to the Final 4, Brad might be it. I don't know. If that organization continues on the trend that they have been on, one interesting, I'm trying to kind of go through the list here, and like Kyle Busch, I don't know what to do with Kyle Busch. I'm sitting here. I mean, look what I wrote down here. I said, Busch wins Daytona. That's just a gut thing, and I write it down. But then I also say, what does this season look like? Because like, he had the most unassuming 3 wins of all last year, right? One happened early, and then another one.
You had Fontana, right?
Yeah. And then I know he won St. Louis. I don't even know the third one. But I just feel like I don't know what to make of it. What should our expectations be for Kyle Busch? This is one of, the guy's right now, he's got 60-some wins. It's hard for me to not put him in the Mount Rushmore of NASCAR drivers. Now, there's others coming down the line, the Kyle Larsons. What happens with Joey from now to the end of his career? How many wins does he rack up? Like, there's others coming that could potentially get a big win total, but there ain't many, if any, that's going to catch Kyle Busch. So, are we tempering our expectations of Kyle because he's with RCR? Do we just have a tainted feeling? Why? They're a Chevy P1 team. They get all the same information that the Hendrick teams get.
Well, historically, they have not won nearly as many races as the Hendrick teams.
Yeah, I mean, they're a 2-car team, right? They've won at least 3 races 2 or 3 years in a row. I mean, I think Reddick had 3 in 2022, all road courses, right? I don't know. It's so tough because I look at these guys and all I see is like their upside, and I'm like, oh, that driver's great and he's going to win a lot. But there's only so many wins to go around, and so somebody's going to have a year that falls below expectations. And so that's what confuses me about Kyle is that, you know, as a talent, he is a guy that I believe, to me, he's like Kyle Larson. Like you just say, oh, he's going to win 4 races a year. That's just because of his talent. He's going to win 4 races a year. But he didn't. He had a real bad playoffs last year. And, I mean, we were talking more about him driving backwards than we were him driving forward. Like, you know, that was just kind of his highlight reel the second half of the season. And even he'll admit it's just they just kind of lost it. So, like, what would your expectation? What's your realistic expectations for Kyle?
You mentioned RCR. We tempering our expectations because of RCR. And outside of Tyler Reddick's 3-win season in 2022, prior to that, RCR hadn't had a multi-win season in almost a decade, if I'm not reading this racing reference wrong. So, like, to me, that's why that is, right? Because you think Kyle's driving an RCR car. Obviously, Kyle's super talented, but he's driving an RCR car. So our expectations are tempered because what is RCR going to bring to the table for Kyle?
Yeah.
If they bring at least last year's, if they come to the track each weekend this year, equivalent to what they did last year, then I think the expectations for Kyle are a 1-2 win season.
I can't argue with you, and I don't know why, because I know Kyle's talented, but I can't pinpoint anything that RCR doesn't have that can't make him successful. I think they've got really strong pit crews. I mean, they've got a good organization. They just have underachieved a little bit as far as what you would expect them to. But there's also weekends where, like, it seems like last year I didn't feel it as much for RCR, where there was weekends where, oh, the RCR cars are fast. But I feel like the years prior to that, there seems like there was weekends, I don't know, maybe a Richmond comes to my mind pretty quickly where, like, Austin Dillon was really fast, and then his teammate at the time. But they didn't have that show up and they're the fastest organization. And then I think every other team had that last year where, both of their cars or that organization is fast this weekend. RCR just never had that. It was either Kyle or it just wasn't happening. So, I mean, in that breath, I mean, certainly Austin Dillon needs to perform better. 29th, that's got to improve. I think that's the easiest probably layup of all that is going to improve. You know, when you kind of digest this whole Chastain Larson thing, you definitely have to go back earlier